there was a very physically beautiful naked woman laying on the path. And along comes a man, and he sees this lady, and he's just enchanted with her physical beauty. She motions for him to come over. So he walks over there, and she says, "I've been waiting for you. Let's have some fun." And the guy was so captivated by her physical beauty, he didn't even question anything. Well, they did their business. So after their business was completed, she put her dress back on, and she was all friendly to him and was really attentive to him. And she said, "If you have time, I'd like to take you back home for a while, and I can cook for you a really good meal, and you can stay with me as long as you want. And if you need to leave," and she said, "I won't hold you back, but I would like to spend some time with you if you don't mind." And so he was like, "Well, I'm not really going anywhere in particular. I'll spend some time with you," he said, because he wanted to have her again. So she smiled and she said, "I'm going to go out. I need to gather some herbs. I have some meat." And she said, "I will cook it for you. Why don't you stay here? There's some water here, and you can take a nap and rest and just relax." She said, "I'll be back in a little while." So he said, "Okay." So she went out of teepee, and he heard somebody walking around behind the teepee, little footsteps. So he was like, "What animal is that?" So he decided to go investigate. So he went outside the teepee, he went behind it, and here there was a little boy back there. He was probably about 8 years old, and he was tied to a pole. His hands were tied behind his back, and there was leather tied around his mouth, so he couldn't talk, he couldn't say anything. And he must have been like that for a really long time, because where his wrists were, where the leather was tied to his hands, it broke the skin, and there was scabs, and it was dirty, so it looked kind of infected. And the boy's clothes were just tattered. Yeah, they were just really in horrible shape. So he was like, "Geez, what the hell?" So he untied the boy, and he motioned with his hands. "Don't worry," he said, "I'm not going to hurt you." So he untied the boy, and he said, "Well, who are you?" So the boy told him that he was the son of that lady. And the man was shocked. He was like, "Wow, why did she do this to you? Did you do something bad?" And he said, "No, she just tied me up. She doesn't want me," he said. So the man said, "Are you being fed?" And because he was really skinny. And he said, "When was the last time you ate?" And he said, "I don't know." So the man had some dried meat in his bag, so he went out and gave it to him to eat. Papa is what they call it. You boil it. So what this man did was he made it soft by really bending it quick back and forth. And he told the boy to go ahead and chew that. And he gave him some water, and then he asked that boy, "Is there a river around here?" He says, "Yeah." So he took him over there. So he had that boy take a bath to wash himself in the water, wash his hair and everything. And then from his own bag, he made this boy a new pair of pants. What the boy was wearing was just tattered. So the boy was all cleaned up, and he had his hair set in a ponytail, and he was clean, his cuts were cleaned out, and the man used some kind of plants to put medicine inside the wounds so they would heal properly. Then he wrapped like a cotton from this plant called a cat's tail. It's a plant that looks like a cat's tail, that's why they call it that. They grow by rivers, so this man found some, and he got the cotton off of there and put it on top of the boy's wound, and he put leather over it and tied it so the boy's wrist will heal. And then he was able to find some cherries and plums so the boy could have something sweet to eat. And so the man asked him, "So where's your father?" And he said, "I don't know." He said, I never seen my father. He said, I always was just with my mom. He said, she just keeps me tied up here, and she doesn't feed me too often. So maybe just scraps of animals. She'd just throw it at me. She doesn't even cook it. I have to eat it raw, he said. So he said he was eating bugs and whatever he could just to live. So the man was really outraged that a woman would treat her own son like this. So he said, what does your mother do? And he said, I don't know, but there's always a different man that comes home with her. And then she always says he's going to go to get some vegetables, and sometimes she doesn't, he said. But usually she eats up the man. The boy told the man that his mother, sometimes with the men she brings back, she has a lot of sex with the man until he's really tired and falls into a deep sleep. And while he's sleeping, she kills him. Then she tears him up and eats him. She tries to make her boy eat that, but he don't want to eat it because he knows that's a man. So she just doesn't feed him on those days like that. And so the boy said that's probably what she was going to do to you. She told you to lay down and go to sleep, and she probably is going to cut you up too, he said. So the man was like, okay, let's go find your mom. So the man was tracking the woman. The boy came with him. And so they found her footsteps, and they were going and going and going. And there they found her, and she was laying on the road. So he told the boy, get back, get back. They found a place to hide, and they were watching her. She took off all her clothes, and she was laying on the road again. This is a different road. She was laying there, and sure enough, a man showed up. And then she said the same thing to this man that she said to the guy that's with her son. And so he started having sex with this lady. And just as he had an orgasm, she stuck him in the back with a knife and really drove it in deep. And the man screamed, and then he was laying on the ground. And just as she was getting ready to cut him into pieces, the other man, our hero, shot her. He shot her right away where her heart is. Broke the rib cage and everything. He really meant business with his aim. And shot her about 3 times. She fell to the ground, and he was going to go over there and finish her off. And as him and the boy were getting close, she died. And as they got closer, they saw her body transform into a mountain lion. So all that time, it was a mountain lion. It was a female mountain lion. It was really a big one. And so this was really unhealthy energy here. So he burned the mountain lion lady up. And he smudged the area, because whenever you do something really tragic that has a lot of emotion involved, that energy stays in that place. And if somebody else comes through there, it might make them sick. So that's why he smudged it with sage and cleansed it and sang some sacred songs. You see, you don't know your father. Do you want to travel with me? So the boy said, yeah. So he said, okay. And he told the boy, whenever you feel like running, you tell me, and I'll let you run. Don't just take off. And the boy said, okay. Because see, the boy, he's half mountain lion. So the boy was able to control himself. The man taught him to manage it. He knew that he was part mountain lion, so he knew that there was going to be a time when the boy would have to turn into a mountain lion and do what mountain lions do. But he taught the boy how to manage it so that he doesn't hurt anybody. So that's how they went. So the boy accepted him as his father, and he lived with Lakota people because he's half Lakota. So from that time, the boy learned too about what is healthy. Even we're supposed to learn from this too, in that when you just focus on the physical aspect of sex, you can become addicted to it to the point where you literally die inside of yourself. That's an addict, a sex addict. So it shows you that these dangers existed in the Indian world back then. These are some of those stories the churches didn't want us to know about, because it showed that we had healthy views and we knew what was unhealthy, and also we knew what was healthy concerning sex. An addiction might be so powerful that they have to take it hour by hour just to make it to the next hour sober or drug-free or whatever. And that is truly a prison. If they succumb to their addiction, they're in the prison. And that's the kind of thing that happens when you only focus on your outside, your physical, and you lose contact with your sacred center. If all you care about is how you look, and you don't really take care of yourself emotionally or spiritually, you become weak-minded. If all you do is think about your body, you are going to become weak-minded, and your body's going to get sick eventually. Your mind is going to be very closed, and you're going to develop emotional and mental disorders, and you have an addiction. You have become dualistic. You separated yourself from your sacred center. So, the story shows you that we knew these things back then. And the churches said this story doesn't fit with the Bible. So remember, we were weak-minded at the beginning of the reservation because we were banned from speaking our language, doing our ceremonies, and telling our stories. So we were hit emotionally and spiritually. Plus, we couldn't leave the reservation in those days. They were like prison camps. And so we had to eat whatever the government gave to us, and that was very unhealthy foods. And that resulted in us getting diabetes, hypertension, heart problems, heart disease. So we became sick physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And that then forced us to become mentally weak. We became weak-minded. And so we believed the priest, and so this kind of knowledge we didn't talk about. So we became emotionally handicapped from that time period, from that time on. So, no, it's a healthy knowledge. It's all about living in a healthy way, and that's beautiful. So we live and we learn.
To learn more about Lakota spirituality, I have written a book called Wichocha Otechige. This book also includes Lakota Star Knowledge information. All the videos that I make, which are about Lakota spirituality, Lakota Star Knowledge, and cultural information, are based on this book. This book costs 99 American dollars. This price includes the shipping cost. And to learn more about Lakota language, I have written a Lakota language book called Chante Etanha Owoglake, Speaking from the Heart. And all my Lakota language videos are based on this book. This book costs 119 American dollars. This price includes the shipping cost. And new for 2024, I have a new book titled Chekia, which means pray. This book includes a CD which has traditional Lakota prayers and traditional spiritual songs. This book cost 57 American dollars, and this price includes the shipping cost. I also teach online, and I give spiritual consultations as well. If you are interested in any of my services and products, you can send payment via PayPal to my email address, which is info@wolakota7.com. You can see the email address on the screen, and it's also in the video description below. When you send your payment, please include your shipping address and your email address. I do have a Patreon account. and you can see the link to that in the description below the video. Here you can also make donations to my channel, and you can also buy my products, my books, and my services concerning private Lakota language lessons and spiritual consultation or spiritual instruction. Again, you can see the Patreon link in the video description below.
Ho, lila pilamayelo. Thank you very much. In the Lakota way, everything is circular. As a result, we do not have a word for goodbye in the Lakota language, and so instead we say until next time, which in Lakota is Doksha Ake. And I will catch you in the next video.